Melanie Barkhorn, the designer of Sweet Mildred.
Coming? Am I doing something?
Hello? Hi.
Carmen Wade, the designer of Elegy.
Here.
And Annika Simmons, the designer of Pop Princess. All right, guys, first question. What first interested all of you in Lolita fashion, and how long have you been wearing Lolita?
I guess I'm taking this one first, and it makes me feel really old. So I became interested in Lolita in high school many, many years ago, probably 2003, and at the time I was really into visual rock bands like Moi Mimi Moite and Deering Gray, and since then it's evolved. But yeah, back then it was much more difficult to acquire, so I'm glad to see the direction that things have gone in.
Okay. I don't know what to say. What was the question?
When did you first get involved in Lolita fashion, and how long have you been wearing it?
Okay, I've been wearing Lolita fashion for like 4 or 5 years. I'm like a newbie compared to like you. But I've been interested in it for like a while. I've always been into like Japanese fashion, obviously. And I used to like come across like pictures of Lolita in like street snaps and stuff. And I never really knew what it was. And then I used to have an Etsy shop a few years ago, and I got contacted to make a Lolita skirt, and I was like, all right, I'll just jump in. And I don't know, it just kind of went downhill from there. Now I'm here, so.
Gosh, I guess I've been into Lolita fashion since like 2008. That was back in middle school. God, I'm getting old.
You make me feel old, Annika, if you were in middle school then.
I came across it because I obviously got into anime conventions, so I started to make a lot of cosplay, and I came across the Gothic Lolita Bibles, and ever since then I was hooked, I was addicted, and since obviously I couldn't afford it, I had to make my own.
All right, now all three of you are graduates of various fashion design schools. I believe Carmen and Annika, you both went to Columbus College of Art and Design, is that right?
I'm not a graduate, I'm a dropout.
Well, you were a successful dropout then. And Millie, you graduated from Drexel University. How long were you involved with fashion design before deciding to attend fashion design school? And did you find it difficult to incorporate Lolita design into your assignments?
I was just asking Carmen if we really want to answer that question. Let's see, I started making Lolita, obviously, like I said, back in middle school. I've been sewing since I was just a small child. Incorporating it into our university setting was, shall we say, difficult. They were very stereotypical, let me funnel you into Abercrombie and Fitch. So I think we met a lot of adversity, but at the end of senior year, it was just like, screw it, I'm gonna do what I want anyway, so.
Sorry. When I went to fashion school, I wasn't sewing Lolita or designing for Lolita. I just made like weird stuff, like, I don't know, like Harajuku, like rave style, like whatever. I just tried to make something that was complete opposite as what everyone else was doing, which is like the whole Abercrombie thing. And I just always did weird stuff, and I didn't care that I was different. Yeah, and then I didn't graduate, so that's cool.
Yeah, we have to share the microphone, sorry guys.
It's okay. I also didn't really focus on Lolita fashion when I was in college, except for to make things for myself, because I didn't want to stereotype myself. When you go to design school, it's really important to get around education, to learn how to make things like pants. Lolitas don't wear pants. Well, that's a lie sometimes, but But even for senior collection, I didn't want to do something that was really frilly, so I went instead more like Alice Owa inspired, darker. But since then, it's evolved into cuter things because when you really come down to it, Lolita isn't about shape that much. It's more about construction, which is what you learn in school.
What do you foresee being the next big trend in Lolita, and what is the current trend that you love?
I mean, I think it's really interesting that each of us presented something really different, and we all follow different style trends, which is great. It's great that the American Lolita scene is developing its own trends, that you can follow Tumblr and see lots of original designs. So I think that not following Japanese trends and following more original coordinates from your own heart is becoming a thing, and that's really good.
What she said?
Do you have anything else to add,
I
Annika?
agree with Millie there. I mean, I think as long as you're making what you love and you're the person that's loving it, it draws people to you. Like if you're not doing it for you, then who are you doing it for?
Who is your biggest Lolita inspiration? Do any of you have a favorite brand, favorite dress, or favorite model?
Well,
Passing the baton.
I don't know. I personally think that Akira is really cool, but not necessarily Lolita. But I think that she's completely awesome, and I really love more androgynous models. But no, traditional Japanese models, or I don't know. Not really. Sorry. I don't know. I don't really have like a.
I really like the gothier brands like Moimi Moiti, of course, and I like some of Alice and the Pirates stuff, but it's not like I idolize them and I must like do that or anything, but I do look to a lot of brands for inspiration, but I kind of just try and find my own voice and do something that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I have to agree. You can be inspired by a lot of things, but if you're copying them, then it's not doing you any good. You're not bringing anything new to the industry or to the world.
What do you feel is your biggest challenge as American Lolita designers?
I don't know. I don't think. Versus what? Like.
Well, versus the Japanese brands versus Baby Search and Brighter, Angelic Pretty. What are some challenges you maybe have faced trying to convince people to purchase your product rather than name brand?
Okay, I think I can answer that one. I think people don't understand a lot of times the amount of intense work goes into like a single piece, even if it's something small. So I think you as a designer have to decide that you are valuing your work at what you need to value it at. Obviously, you can't charge brand prices because you're not mass producing it and you would never make any money. Not that we're making any money now, but I think to set yourself apart, you have to present it in a way that people will also find intriguing. Like if you love it, again, they will be drawn to you in that same fashion.
Some people just don't like indie. They just like brand, and it doesn't, like, you can't change their mind, and it's not for everyone. So I just try and stick to my core audience, like the people who like what I do, and I just try and make them happy instead of trying to appeal to everyone, because that's never going to happen.
I feel that there are people who buy brand and will always buy brand, but that the biggest challenge for the American indie scene is Taobao. Trying to compete with Chinese manufacturers is near impossible just because of currency differences, and it's very challenging. I feel like a lot of revenue is lost to giant Taobao orders that weigh more than me.
All right, we're going to open the floor to the audience if we have any questions. I think we're supposed to have some main event staff down there with microphones. I don't know. Yes? Somebody's waving? Okay, so raise your hand if you have a question for one of the designers. Okay, down in front we have someone. Wait a minute, they have to run the microphone down to you. I think we have about 10 minutes. Maybe we can take questions.
I was wondering what inspired you all to come up with your names of your brands and how you like came up with the lines you did today.
To repeat the question, the audience member would like to know how you came up with the names of your brands and if there are certain motifs that carry over into that.
Is this for everyone or for a specific, for all of us? Okay. Well, I came up with mine because I sat down at my table and had to call it something, and I think it works.
It took me a long time to finally decide on elegy, but I knew I wanted like a single word, a short word, and I made a huge list of like brainstorming, like whatever, and I just kept coming back to elegy. I like that it has like a darker meaning, so it's fitting for like the gothier, darker stuff that I like to do, and I don't know, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, branding is difficult. I mean, it takes years. Like, I've got sketchbooks worth of logos and branding ideas, but it took me a really long time to decide on Pop Princess. Like, I bounced from brand name to brand name to brand name until I finally found something that I felt suited me as a person as well as a brand aesthetic. I wanted something sweet, and I also wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing in the sense of colors, so a light palette of pink, mint, and white for the logo.
Next question. Do we have any other questions? On the far side in a white floppy hat, I think. Stand up so we can see you. Yes, you?
I would like to know if like a lot of your friends or people that you know have noticed like they're getting into Lolita, or if you think there's a real rise in it.
I'm not sure I understand. Could you rephrase the question?
Hold on, I'm really. Yeah, do you think it's becoming more growingly popular, like Lolita, stuff like that?
Okay.
As like a trend. Yeah, I think so. Particularly, I mean, it was obviously started in Japan, but it spread across Asia and then Europe, and then it's hit the US pretty hard within the last 5 years. So I think it's growing in popularity and especially in notoriety.
Yeah, I feel like internet culture has really like shown, like displayed Lolita more so than like in the early 2000s and stuff when it was becoming popular. Yeah.
I think that it's definitely growing. You can see that in the evidence that Japanese brands now have stores in the United States and in Europe, and also in local communities. It sounds archaic, but you know, LiveJournal still exists for Lolitas, which is it's like Lolitas by themselves have propped up LiveJournal. It's really weird, but also Facebook communities, and just by the amount of members, you can really see that it's maybe not exponentially growing, but for everyone that leaves, more people come in. There are lots of new young followers.
All right. Any more questions? Up front, the gentleman in the white shirt.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you better.
We can actually hear you better.
Okay, what do you think it would take for Lolita to go mainstream, or perhaps to take on a challenge of trying to design some Lolita-inspired office wear or evening wear that would be, say, more acceptable to the culture at large as a way of gaining a foothold into a broader market?
I don't think that's possible. The entire philosophy, particularly behind the Lolita brand, is that it goes against the niche. It goes against the grain. Like, street style started because Japanese youth felt oppressed by their society, by their parents, by the rules. So to break out of that, to not follow mainstream, they created their own fashions.
There are some people, places that do sell things that are more pencil skirt or fishtail skirt that are still Lolita canon, which you can wear to the office. Also, a lot of things cross over in pinup or rockabilly, which are more wearable for every day. And it exists, if on TV in the past for Project Runway, for different shows, they have had Lolita episodes, so there has been exposure, but it's very much still obscure, more obscure than US goth or punk scenes.
Yeah, I don't think Lolita will ever become mainstream either, just because that's like what she was saying. That's what makes it special, is because it's so different, like the silhouette and like the effort put into an outfit. I won't see like the most of the population dressing like this every single day. Like there's no way that's going to become mainstream. So I just think it's always just going to be its own niche, its own special thing.
All right, we have time for one more question. All right, the person waving frantically will take you. And keep in mind that they will all be in Artist Alley if you just want to stop by and chat. I'm assuming that would be acceptable to all of you guys? Yeah.
Sarah, she was actually asked first. She was actually waving first.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, could you describe the very first, outfit that really pulled you into Lolita fashion?
That we made, or that...
That they constructed themselves or that they wore?
Just the first, like on the internet or in a magazine, the first piece of Lolita clothing that you saw that really made you think, I want to do that, I want to wear that. Could you describe, the first one that you saw?
So what was there an initial coordinate any of you saw that really grasped you and said, I have to be a Lolita, is the question.
There is this cord that I remember seeing, back when I first Googled, Lolita fashion, and it was, this beautiful, all black coordinate, sort of old school style with, a parasol, and I just thought it was, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and that's what, tugged my heartstrings, and I just knew I had to be a part of that world.
Yeah, it was kind of an evolution for me too. I started with a different street style. I was really into Decora for a while, and then I came across the Fruits magazine, and I think I was probably a Baby the Stars Shine Bright coordinate, old school Lolita, pink, white, ruffle panels on the side. I don't know, there's just something about it that, I don't know, you just fall in love with if it's something that you're into.
The first brand website that I ever stumbled upon was Baby the Stars Shine Bright, and I remember it was just a blue Alice jumper skirt, and I loved it intensely.
All right, so we're gonna put the chairs over on the side and get ready for our coordinate contest. And like I said, if you guys do have any questions, they'll be around all weekend, and I'm sure they'd be happy to talk with any of you.